Good afternoon. Nice to see so many of you here. Okay, I can already see we've got a wide variety of writers here, so that's exciting. Poetry, short stories, scripts for film and TV, fantasy, more short stories, historical novel. Yes, I'm writing a historical novel, so very important to know about place. Yes, it's very important in genres like historical fiction, fantasy, sci-fi. We'll kind of touch on those a little bit later. Novella, short stories, and a newbie. Oh, welcome newbie. Exciting. I love newbies. Yes, setting helps the reader connect to the context of the poem. So yeah, very important in poetry as well. Obviously, have all your stuff ready. So you want to have something to write with. I like to write in notebooks, but a lot of people prefer typing. So whatever you need, make sure you've got it, because we're going to be devoting the next hour and a half to some creative writing. So if this is your first time, you may not, quite, know what we do. So this is not a writing class. I'm not going to be teaching anything, but this is some guided creativity. So our thing is giving you like prompts and different things to write about, usually focused around a theme. So today our theme is place and setting, but we'll be throwing some different ideas at you, things to think about and stuff to write about, so that you can get maybe some new ideas, and maybe after this session you can go away and have a new story or a new poem or a new project. And then if not, that's all good too, because if you don't come out of this with anything in particular, then you've at least still done the exercises. So you've strengthened your creative muscles and it's all good. So even if what you do today doesn't necessarily go anywhere, it's all worthwhile, I think, to do this. So I'm a fiction writer. That's kind of my approach to writing. I started with short stories. I have also written essays. I've written a lot of scripts for film, and I'm also drafting a novel. So I'm not a poet. So my prompts are kind of created with a fiction writer's, script writer's mind. But with that said, you can feel free to make my prompts your own. So if what you prefer to write is in poetry, you can ignore what I say about like, oh, write a dialogue, write a scene. Maybe you want to approach it differently. So, and that goes for everybody. You don't have to, like, my prompts are not rules to follow. You can do whatever you want. You can be inspired by just a portion of what I say and ignore the rest. You can ignore everything I say. It's really up to you. I just want to stress that this is your time to do your writing. So just please don't feel like there's anything you have to do here. And I want everyone to feel really free. Another historical novel. And someone who says, struggling to describe places I see. Yeah. I can sympathize with that. So I am not a visual person. I like to write dialogue. I like to write characters. But for me, setting and place sometimes gets forgotten. So it's a skill I've had to develop. But it is very important in writing, and we'll get into all of these. Okay, making sure I've caught up on the chat. So I'll just start with some initial thoughts on the importance of setting and place. I've called today the power of place. It is a powerful thing, place, in writing. And we're not just talking about where your writing takes place. I also want to talk a little bit about where the act of writing takes place. So I assume everyone is kind of set up at maybe their normal desk situation. And that's fine. You may not be able to do anything about that in this session, but I do want to encourage people to, next time you write, I mean, even now, if you're able to, you might want to just go and sit somewhere in your home where you don't usually write. So please take a moment to do that if you want to try that now. If you're not able to do that now, I understand. I'm plugged in, you're probably plugged in, we can't really move, but I would invite you next time you're writing on your own, do it in a new place. So I'm saying that because it can be really interesting to see how our setting, where we are, affects what we produce. And I've never really heard anybody else explain this or comment on it, so maybe I'm the only one that's really noticed it. But I have a strong feeling that what I write, even in very small details, like the words that I choose, the things my character says, the ideas I get, I feel that they are very much entwined with where I am when I'm writing that. And obviously, I can't really test this because I can't write the same thing twice, not for the first time anyway, in different settings, and then see how it affects what I write. It's just kind of a feeling I have, but I really believe that where we are affects our writing very much. So today, just think about that. Think about maybe how you can experiment with this idea in the future. Like I said, today, if you want to like pick up your laptop and just go sit in a different corner, it could be really interesting to see, even if that small change has an effect on what you write and how you write. Yes, so today we're talking about the setting of our stories, where they happen, and also where the act of writing takes place. All right, so with that said, I will, this is just to keep me on track, really. And also, if people like disappear and come back, you can always see what prompt we're working on. So I've got a slideshow situation so that we are all on the same page. And I wanted to start us off with this lovely opening paragraph from a novel that I love called I Captured the Castle by Dodie Smith. You may have heard of it, you may have never heard of it. It's a really lovely novel, and it was the perfect novel for me to read when I discovered it at the age of 17, wanting to be a writer, because it's about a 17-year-old who wants to be a writer, haha. But this opening paragraph has always stayed with me. Like, I find it myself just chanting it sometimes. I've read it so many times and it's so impactful. The first line, I write this sitting in the kitchen sink. And you're like, what? That is, my feet are in it. The rest of me is on the draining board, which I have padded with our dog's blanket and the tea cozy. I can't say that I am really comfortable, and there is a depressing smell of carbolic soap, but this is the only part of the kitchen where there is any daylight left. And I have found that sitting in a place where you've never sat before can be inspiring. I wrote my very best poem while sitting in the hen house. So if you have a hen house, maybe try that. If you want to sit in the sink, try that. Try different places. Go to weird places. Maybe it doesn't even make sense why it would be inspiring, but you never know until you try. So just wanted to throw that out to people to think about and to take forward. So now we're just going to start with a little bit of reflection. So in your journal or in the doc that you're working in today, you can reflect on all these questions, some of these questions, whatever you choose. I'll give you, I'm going to say 6 minutes. And it's just to get you thinking about place and how it affects your writing. So where do you usually write? How does it feel when you write there? Do you have a favorite place to write? Is there a place that you felt particularly inspired to write? Maybe you were on holiday somewhere and you found that really invigorating. Is there some place you've never been to, but you would like to write there? You suspect it might be inspiring. And if you have taken my tip just now and are currently sitting someplace where you don't usually write, how does it feel to write there? All right, so just reflect. It's free writing basically, so don't self-censor. Just let whatever comes to mind out onto the page, and I'll give you 6 minutes to reflect on that. there's about half a minute left, so just start wrapping up your thoughts. Okay, so time is up for the journaling exercise. If you weren't able to get through all of the questions, you can come back to this. If there was something you find, oh, that was really interesting, I want to explore that more, you can save that for later. We will have, for the final 30 minutes of today, it will be working on whatever you want. So if there's something here or in any of the prompts you didn't get a chance to explore fully, you can do that in the final 30 minutes or whenever. I would love to hear if people had any like interesting thoughts, interesting reflections, throw them into the chat. Some people are giving some actually really great advice. Someone was saying they love writing in museums, they love writing in libraries, someone else said. And I second that. Museums are great. If you live in a big city like I do, like London, it can be a little bit tricky because public spaces can become very crowded. So I don't do it as much as I would, for instance, in my hometown, where the museum is usually very quiet. So yeah, it'll you'll have to tailor it to where you live. But yeah, if anyone wants to share anything that came up, let us know. Where do you usually like to write? Where would you like to go to be inspired? So yeah, feel free to share anything you want in the chat. Now, before we move on to thinking about setting in our writing, there's one more thing I want to discuss in terms of where we write. And that's something I love to do, which is to go on self-guided writing retreats. Now, that if you've never done it before, that might sound a little bit scary. So I just want to kind of plant this seed in people's brains because I think it is wonderful. It's like a really ramped up version of The Artist's Date. So if anyone's familiar with Julia Cameron's book The Artist's Way, she encourages you to go on artist dates. I say go on an artist holiday. So I love to go away for a few nights on my own to a place and have nothing to do, no agenda, but just to wander around and do some writing. And that's me writing by this castle in Wales a few years ago. So like I said, I go for like a few days, but if this is something you've never done before, you might just want to start with one night away or even just take a day trip someplace. And you could even do it in the place where you live. So you don't have to travel very far to do this, but I think it's important that it's a place you're not familiar with, because the idea is that you will kind of be going there with new eyes and having new thoughts. And my only rule for you is that you just write whenever you get the urge to. So if you want to try this, then go someplace and just wander around. Have nothing with you but your money, your phone, and your notebook. And just walk around, see what there is to see, and maybe try and like capture your experience of being in this place. You might want to eavesdrop and like listen, is anyone saying anything interesting? Is there some different kind of slang here I'm not familiar with? How does the air smell? Using all of your senses. So I think going on a self-guided writing retreat is so amazing, and you never really know what's going to happen when you go there. Sorry, just catching up on the chat with some people's comments. Yes, someone likes to write in the park, open spaces outside. That's wonderful. When the weather is nice, writing in nature can be absolutely wonderful. I found that different notebooks and software also affect my writing process. Yeah. Yeah. Pay attention to these things because it's all valuable information. And if you have only ever written in one medium, like you only have handwritten in a journal, try something new next time. Even if it's a small shift, like you usually write in a notebook that has lines, maybe next time try one that doesn't have lines and see what happens. So that's part of our setting too. It's like where the brain is located and focused. So it is all very important. Yeah, upon reflection, I realized I write best in dark spaces. I assume you're writing on a computer because I don't know how you're gonna write on paper in a dark space. But that's a really good idea. And there was actually someone in the chat asking for advice about what would you do if the environment gets distracting for you. Maybe that person wants to try that, to try writing in a dark space. Yeah, try different things. Try dimming the lights, try lighting a candle, try playing music, not playing music. All these little things that have an effect on our space will have an effect on our writing. Okay, so now we'll get into the writing. Okay, so I just wanted to, like I said, plant this seed, and if you do, take me up on this offer, this invitation, you do go somewhere, I'd love to hear about it. You can message me on Meetup or any of the other platforms. Let me know how it went, because I'm curious. Cool. Okay, so let's get into it. Now, see what I wanted to say. Okay, so this next section is going to give us a chance to experiment with setting and place and see how it affects our writing. So I think I've proven, or at least I've explained why I believe the setting where we are affects our writing, but then the setting where you put your writing, the place your characters inhabit, that will have an effect on your writing too. So the first thing I want everyone to do is just, before we get into place, I want you to work from these characters. And I will just reiterate, these prompts are all suggestions. So if you have something that you are currently working on and you'd rather work with characters you've already created, please do that. But if you do feel like starting from scratch or playing with something new, we're going to work from these two characters. So just for now, I want you to decide what is their relationship to each other. And the next scene that we write is going to be them having some kind of emotionally intense conversation. So you're going to decide what's the topic of that. Okay, so who are they? What's their relationship to each other? And what's the topic of their conversation going to be? So just think about that. I'm going to give you 4 minutes to think about that, and then we'll go into drafting the scene. But don't draft it yet. Just jot down some ideas and plan who these people are. Okay, so 4 minutes on that. Okay, that's our 4 minutes up. So hopefully you've had a chance to at least decide a few details about these people. The most important thing is how they know each other and what they're going to talk about. So now that you've done that, you're going to write the scene where they are having this conversation. And remember, I said it's going to be an emotionally intense conversation. So it's not just like a hi, how are you conversation. It's maybe something a bit more tense. Okay. So first, we're going to write this twice. Okay. Um, and this is just to kind of show you how the setting can influence the content of what we do. So our first go at writing the scene is going to take place here. Okay, so we've got like a lovely beach, sunny day. I don't know where this is, but it looks really beautiful. So your characters are here, or a similar version of this. And now they have their conversation. So what happens? I'm gonna give you. Hang on, what time is it? Okay, we've got plenty of time. I'm going to give you. Do I want to do 10 minutes? I think I want to do 10 minutes. No. I'm going to go halfway. So 7 minutes. If you don't finish it, again, no worries, because we'll be spending 30 minutes at the end writing whatever you want. So you can continue the scene if you don't finish it. I'm going to give you 7 minutes. And as I said before, don't self-censor. So right now we're not trying to write something perfect. We just kind of want to see what comes. So in that sense, you're almost like allowing your characters to move your pen for you. So if something comes to your mind, just write it down and don't overthink it. Just let it come. Okay? So 7 minutes, and we'll see how it goes. If you have any questions or anything else that you want to chat about, put it in the chat box. I'll be keeping an eye on that. But otherwise, see you in 7 minutes. Okay, my timer just went off. I can see a lot of people bent over. So you're probably still drafting the scene. So in that case, you can either like ignore the next part, keep writing, or come back to it in a moment. Um, but yeah, for now, I'll explain what the next part is. So you've written a little scene between these two characters where they're having their conversation, and now I want you to kind of forget what you have written. You're gonna start it again, but this time they're gonna be here. So very different setting, and I want you to not overthink it, not think too much about it, but don't forget where they are. And it'll be interesting to see if that affects what they say to each other, what they behave, or even how you write it, how you describe things, how you describe them. But like I said, don't overthink it. You're just doing the same scene again. And when I say that, I don't mean you're word for word rewriting it. What I mean is you're starting from the beginning and seeing where it takes you. Okay? So, same amount of time. I'll give you 7 minutes. And then if anybody wants to share the differences that they noticed, if anything, or they want to share anything that they wrote, please feel free to put that stuff in the chat. It's always really cool to see what other people do. And yes, enjoy. So 7 minutes writing this scene. Okay, time is up on that second exercise. So, again, if you found yourself in kind of a flow, you can come back to this in the last half hour or some other time whenever you want to. But I would love to hear about people's experiences if they do want to share anything in the chat. Did you find that the writing was easier when they were in one location versus another? Did you find that the environment was having an effect on your characters? Like, did they behave differently? So I'd love to hear if anybody noticed anything. Or even if you didn't notice any difference at all, because that could be interesting as well. Although I suspect that most of us will have found that the location did affect it in some way at least. So while people are doing that or not doing that, I'll just move us on to the next part, which is also going to be a way of experimenting with setting, but this time we're going to focus more on the description aspect. So again, we'll be starting from a character, and we won't like spend a lot of time developing this character. I think maybe it's best to just go with the flow on this exercise, and especially because of like time constraints. So we're gonna basically write a scene in which they are somewhere and they go to their window and they see something strange outside. And we're first going to write this in a similar location to where we are. So either they, are in a similar house or flat, or they live in the same city as you, same place. So very similar. And then we'll rewrite it again, but the setting changes again. So for this one, we don't need to, there's no dialogue, there's maybe not a whole lot of story or conflict happening. It's more about their experience. So you'll be focusing on describing what they see and what is this strange thing outside and how is that interacting with the landscape. We're doing this because one of the things I wanted to mention is that when we're describing setting in our writing, it's usually there to add detail and color and to kind of ground our story in reality. So if it's a shared reality that we all have already, you may not need to explain that much. But if you're writing something that takes place in a different reality, so maybe it's a historical novel, like I know some people here are writing, or it's fantasy, it's science fiction, you will probably have to spend a little bit more time describing what things look like in the landscape and setting the scene so that we can imagine what it looks like, so that we can believe that we are where you say we are. So, okay, with all that said, I'll catch up on messages in the chat. And how are we on time? Right, okay. We will have to do this one. This will be a little bit shorter. So I'm going to give you 5 minutes on the first part. Okay? And then we'll do 5 minutes on the second part. Okay, starting now. Gosh, that went quickly. Okay, so that was first 5 minutes gone. So yeah, chances are you probably didn't write a complete scene, but that's okay because we're just practicing the writing of the description of the setting and how the different settings will be described differently, right? So our next task is to again write about this character. They go to the window, they see something weird, but now they're in a place that's a bit more fantastical. So I was suggesting maybe they're on another planet, or they're in a parallel universe. They're in a fantasy world where there's dragons outside. Kind of up to you. Just make sure it's not our world. If you're writing historical fiction, you could set it in the past as well, if you like, as long as it's not our world. And same thing. Just describe what they see, and yeah, have fun. I think with this one, you can have a bit more fun with the details, and the aim is to get us to believe in the setting. Because with the first one, we don't need much convincing to believe we're there because this our world already. But when we're dealing with a world that's not ours, you're going to need to use more details to convince us. All right, so 5 minutes on this one, and then we can compare and contrast if we want to. Okay, happy writing. Okay, time is up on that, and that's going to be our last short exercise. So again, I would be really curious to hear how if your experience of writing these two scenes was different, if your character behaved differently, how was the description of the place for you? Was it easier to write one or the other? So share any and all things you'd like to in the chat. And we don't have we don't have time to do this exercise. I did plan this one in case there was extra time, but I just want to share this because this is something you can do on your own anytime. And someone mentioned they like to write in museums. This is a great thing to do on your own if you go to a gallery, just to stand in front of a painting or on your laptop like we're doing now, and just describe it. So using all five senses, and I find it's better not just to describe it objectively, but to kind of pretend that you are standing there and describe your experience of standing there. So what do you see, smell, taste, hear, feel, all those things. So we won't have time to do this now. Obviously, if you want to try this in the final 30 minutes, you're more than welcome to, but I won't be staying on this screen. But yeah, this is a great exercise just to have in the back pocket. It's something you can even do if you're waiting for somebody and you're bored. Instead of like doom scrolling, why not look at a painting on your phone and just write a little bit about it? You know, maybe try that next time. So we will move into the final 30, or it's technically now the final 25, isn't it? And I'll let you take control. You write what you want. So coming back to maybe one of the exercises we did earlier, maybe you've got something you're already working on, because this session can be like a really useful warm up for then doing a longer session of something that you want to do. Or if you want some more prompts, I've got some suggestions here. So whatever you do, I leave it with you. I will be keeping an eye on the chat as always. If anybody wants to share anything, ask any questions, anything at all, I'll be keeping an eye on that. And I'll see you in yeah, just under 25 minutes. I'm going to put like 24 on my clock, and then we'll come back and say our goodbyes and etc. just so everyone knows, we've got 4 minutes left, and I'm gonna move on from this slide. So if you want to remember these prompts, if you're still working on them and you want to reference them, just like take a quick screen grab or picture or something. Because I just wanted to put up before people started to take off what our next session is going to be. So yeah, 4 minutes, a little bit under 4 minutes now, and then we can all kind of like share how it was and talk and chill. That's the final 30 seconds. So please start marking the sentence you're on. Okay, and that's it. So well done, everybody. I always really enjoy these. I love writing with all of you guys and talking about these ideas and concepts that I care so much about. I'm going to, if I can figure out. No. I was gonna say I'll give you the chance to unmute, but I think I have to stop screen sharing to do that. So I will stop the screen share, but I just wanted to quickly, oh no, go back, to quickly just shout out for our next session. So that'll be in roughly a month, and we're going to be talking about mood. So like how to evoke a mood in writing, what does that even mean? Just like rules of thumb, and also like, yeah, fun exercises and stuff. These are all of our socials. So the most important one, I think, is the YouTube right down in the bottom middle, because that's where we put these recordings when they're done. So this one will be uploaded, I think, by tonight, if you do like want to go back and review anything that we went through today. And there's also like the backlog of ones that we've done in the past. So the YouTube channel is one to follow. Please ignore the Facebook. I'm not doing the Facebook, sorry, but I am trying to be more active on Instagram and TikTok, so you can find us there. And then on the far right hand side is our Ko-fi coffee account. And obviously these sessions are free, and I do it because I love it, but you know, time is not free and meetup is not free. So if anybody does want to just throw a few bucks our way as like a way of saying thank you, that's the place where you can do it. And yeah, so let me stop the share and we can all come back together. I will allow you to unmute yourselves if you want. Yeah. So if anybody does want to say anything or share anything about their experience today, oh, I'm seeing some messages. Very cool. Yay, I'm glad you guys enjoyed it. It means a lot to me, and obviously writing is something that I'm a huge nerd about. It's always really fun to connect with other people who care about it in that same way. So yeah, I hope you had a productive afternoon, and I'm here if you have any questions, or if you have anything you'd like to see in the future in the group, just let me know if there's like a topic you'd like to cover. Obviously right now we're mostly focusing on creativity sessions, so like ideas generation and writing prompts. But if anybody would like to see more like classes and concepts and teaching, do let me know. I won't really know if people want certain things and unless they say. So do let me know if there's something you would like to see us do in the future.
I was just saying thanks. It's really helpful today.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
Cheers.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. It was my first time and it was very interesting.
Oh, thanks. I hope we see you again. Okay, I'll let you guys go and enjoy the rest of your day. Take care.